Hello and welcome to the SamMobile Podcast. I'm your host, Ben from SamMobile, and welcome to episode 14 of your weekly SamMobile Podcast, where we give you all the latest news in the world of Samsung. And we are going to be talking about Samsung's latest gaming hub streaming service for their 2022 smart TVs and smart monitors, and the places that they missed an opportunity. We're going to discuss that later. We have what looks to be the Galaxy Watch 5 and Watch 5 Pro renders. Very interesting to see that. We're going to talk about that as well. And how the best-selling Galaxy Note is technically not a Note, but it is a Note, and it's going to be reborn as that going forward. We're going to be discussing more on that. And as we like to say, get your meal, get your popcorn, get your drinks. It's going to be a good show. Let's kick things off. Yes, it is a solo show, no guest, just myself this time around, but hope you enjoy the show. I'm going to try and make it as informative and, as per usual, entertaining as possible. And for all our audio listeners, definitely make sure you give us a follow and a rating, and subscribe if you want to see the video form of it as well on your favorite podcasting platforms. But yeah, we're going to be talking about Samsung's gaming hub, their new hub for their game streaming service. And I personally got a chance to have hands-on with it, went down to go see it. And it's very interesting, and I'm going to try and elaborate on it more, give a much more stretched, in-depth look on what the gaming hub is all about. And it's a very, very interesting take. And I'm going to try and, tell the story behind it and expand on the relevancy of it and just the whole idea and the consensus behind the partnership and what Samsung are really considering when it comes to, just what they're trying to establish of it, right? Cool. We're going to pretty much switch over and just have a look and just basically see that, yes, we did I personally had a chance to go to the Samsung King's Cross Cares Experience store. On a Monday, we did a hands-on video on it, had a chance to put it together, went live on a Tuesday the 5th. I'm recording this particular podcast on the 7th, basically the day before it will go live, because I'm not in UK at the minute, I'm in Canada again, as I like to switch back and forth, but we still get the content done. And it's very, very interesting what they've done. What they've basically done here is this gaming hub is all based around game streaming built into your TV. Game streaming built into your TV through NVIDIA GeForce Now, Google Stadia, and of course, this particular one, Xbox Cloud Gaming with Game Pass Ultimate. That is very, 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 very interesting what they've done. And the whole idea is, with the relevant subscription, you can just plug your favorite controller via Bluetooth directly to the TV, and I think on Wi-Fi for Stadia as well. And with the relevant subscription, you can game up to 1080p 60 frames a second. Now, in this particular showcase, we went to, let's just say me in particular, I went to King's Cross to, it was showcased on a Smart Monitor M8, as well as the Smart Monitor M8. It was showcased on what I believe to be the QN900B from Samsung and the Q900, QN90 A or B, whichever model it is. But it's their 2022 8K flagship and also 4K flagship TV with the Smart Monitor M8, which is obviously the Smart Monitor that's 32 inches. We covered that in CES in Vegas. So, we've got the videos on the channel. Definitely go watch it and check it out, as well as the TVs as well. I believe the 4K set had the 4K set had the wired Ethernet connection. The 8K set had the wireless internet connection, and there's two Smart Monitor M8s, because they're wireless, it was based on a wireless connection. And this was done in partnership with Xbox. So Xbox were the ones that came down. This was done through Game Pass Ultimate and using their cloud streaming service. Now, just for context, and I said it in the video before, some odd comments that came about. When we're doing these hands-on, right, it's very, very restricted in terms of restricted and controlled. Restricted because there's other people there as well. There's other people from different publications, YouTube channels, that are coming to cover it. So you're having to rotate in terms of your user experience, right? And we always try to disclose is that in those controlled environments, it's either best case scenario and worst case scenario at the same time. So that's something that you really have to take into account. So I would say realistically, I had no more than an hour, probably an hour, to test a few games. Some games, for some reason, maybe it might have been because of licensing agreement or performance issues, couldn't showcase it. One of them was Forza Horizon 5, okay? But the games I got to test were Gears 5 as my main game. I got to test NBA 2K 2022, and then it was Halo as well, right? Those were the games that within my time that you're in a unique position where you have to try and use the service and or the product while having to get footage to demonstrate it to people online, So not having someone else there to do it, for context, you just have to really take it as that. And it was very, very interesting. I tried to spread myself out in terms of the test cases, but for context, I have and I own an Xbox Series X myself. I own an Xbox Series X. I've got Game Pass Ultimate, and I've got a native 4K 120 hertz HDMI 2.1 compatible TV. Gears 5, for example. Gears is my main game on Xbox. That's been my main game on Xbox since the first inception of it on the Xbox 360, right? I know that game in and out, the nuances, the little things that you do to give you the competitive edge, especially it's not super fast paced like Call of Duty or Halo, right? But it's a bit more slower, it's third person, it's a bit more tactical, but it's reactive still. You have to still be very reactive. And having that in mind, knowing that the service streams up to 1080p 60 frames per second, and I've had experience of game streaming because you can still game stream on your Xbox, right? My internet connection in my house is not that great, right? In UK, that is. It's not that great. And I had a great experience when I did it, right? With like a very, very low internet connection, poor Wi-Fi and whatnot. So playing that, I played on a 4K set on the Ethernet connection. And again, I think the bandwidth was somewhere around, maybe 30 to 40 megabits per second from what they told me, but we couldn't do a speed test to test it ourselves. That's what one of, the marketing team members said to me. And I have to say, and I said it in my video, that Gears was the best case scenario of what I saw of the system, where mentally, in terms of the instantaneous response, I kid you not, it felt no different. And I really, really want to emphasize that. It felt no different to playing it natively. Now, the caveat of the stuff is the fact that obviously it was only 1080p 60 frames a second. Even from a distance on a big set TV like that, it's you could tell that it's somewhere between medium to high setting when it comes to the look of the 1080p stream that is coming. But when it comes to input latency, when it comes to responsiveness, it felt like I was playing a native game. And take that in consideration for the fact that this is built into a TV. This is built into a TV. You just need to take your existing controller, and then you basically just need the right subscription to benefit from it, right? I don't know why we couldn't showcase Forza Horizon 5, but that's another game that I play a lot on my Xbox that I wanted to showcase, right? Within that hour, you've only got a bit of time to really just pick what you can and showcase what you can, yeah? So I was trying to put together the ones that I was very familiar with that could really get some form of analysis and opinion on for just my experience and what I'm familiar with when it comes to gaming on Xbox, right? From the controller to the games, the responsiveness, the load times or whatnot. Gameplay is one thing, but what also surprised me was the instantaneous response in things like the menus. It just wasn't slowing down. So best case scenario, in my experience using it, Gears 5 on an Ethernet connection on Samsung's high-end 4K television for 2022. The streaming service with Xbox Cloud Gaming for the Gaming Hub, phenomenal. Very, 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 very impressed. Very impressed. Now, we move over to something like Halo. Halo, I'm not really much of a Halo player. I never got into Halo. Like, the first Halo was on the original Xbox and it pioneered so much. I wasn't part of that generation. And I never really caught onto Halo as a game, right? But I respect it. Same story, right? And it looks like that's one thing that they really wanted to nail down in terms of the responsiveness, above all, for it to feel like you're playing natively. It definitely doesn't look like you would be playing natively. It's almost a mix of the responsiveness of what you get from the current gen, or as some people still call next gen because of how hard the acquisition is. We're going to talk about that as well and how that benefits of these, current gen consoles like the Series S and more so the Series X and the PlayStation 5. It felt instantaneous. It really, really felt no different to playing it natively, even though it doesn't look like how it would do natively with something like a 4K UHD image, 60 frames a second, all the way up to 120 frames a second. Cool. The only thing that maybe brought me some form of concern was when I was playing NBA 2K22, right? That when I played that on the Smart One MA, again, I tried to spread myself to see what was the case now, right? And that had stutters, not in the gameplay, but in the menus and the loading times. You had a lot of frame drops. Now, I've had experience with 2K, and it gave you the option to actually select either the next gen one with the Series X and the Series S game, or the Xbox One version. Obviously, I picked the latest because I wanted to try and get the best experience come through. Gameplay was still fine on a Smart One and M8, but I don't know whether it's because it was on a Wi-Fi connection, whether the limitations were, but I can only take a snapshot in that moment, not in the environment that I would have had it in personally, right? And it still worked great, but there was hiccups there as well. Another game that I actually forgot was Flight Simulator. And I didn't get to play Flight Simulator, but I saw someone else doing it and I took footage. They were happy for me to record their footage of playing it. And that was running at 30 frames a second. Now, that's where I asked the Xbox Web that, are you guys still quoting up to 60 frames a second? It wasn't 100% too sure because I said, look, these are the games that I played at 60 frames a second, but Flight Simulator is at 30 frames a second. Now, the ones that know the graphical intensity of Flight Simulator, you do know that that game is really on the ultra high end of just graphics performance. So it could have been expected that it runs at 30 frames a second, because I do believe natively on the Series X and S, it does run at 30 frames a second to keep that same parity. Cool. Very game dependent and internet connection dependent when it comes to the reliability of things and whatnot, right? And that's the opportunity that I had to showcase, see, and play. I left feeling very, very impressed with what was being showcased there, right? And it's something that I personally want to try within my own environment in a more real world kind of scenario of how people have their internet connection set up. Like the standard router, like in UK, the standard broadband provider is BT, right? Your standard fiber package is a download speed of 38 megabits per second with an upload speed of, 8 to maybe 10 megabits per second, right? You get the standard BT router, nothing special, absolutely dead rubbish. And let's be honest, most people that get their internet connection do not change the router that they use or the router that they use, right? Stick to the same one, and most things are all wireless based. With that in mind, the impression I got from it was this is a very, very good thing that's been developed, and I think it can really tip the scales more to Samsung's favor in terms of smart TV sales and smart monitor sales to incentivize people to buy it more. I want to put the story behind it as this, right? The question that will come is, why not game on a dedicated console? Of course, all right? We love the hardware acquisition. We love the power and the flexibility that it brings. But let's be honest. Since these current generation consoles, Series X, S, and PlayStation 5, came out in November 2020, you still cannot walk into a store and comfortably buy one without having a notification tracker on there, right? I had to recently help my brother to get his PlayStation 5 just based on the fact that he got a notification at the time where it was before payday, and I had to, it's an absolute nightmare to get hold of these consoles. It just is. As great as these consoles are, it's within the worst generation of acquisition that we have ever experienced when it comes to console acquisitions. This is a bridging gap. This is a bridging gap. And what this is really doing is advancing the notion of gaming as a service to everyone, everywhere. That's my first bridging gap, right? Something like Game Pass, what makes Game Pass Ultimate really, really such a compelling package that is even forced Sony to introduce things like, their PlayStation Plus Essential, PlayStation Plus Extra, and Premium, is the promise of what they've built with all their first-party studio games have day one launch and availability straight on Game Pass, right? And the partnership that they have with EA Play, with EA, with their service as well, and so many other things, having access to these games on day one on Game Pass via game streaming as well, makes it very compelling for people that will set it up in a best case scenario situation via Ethernet, in the living room, near the router, right? Best case scenario. So that's one justification. But here's another justification. This is a super luxury justification situation, right? If you look at the house layout, for example, I've got my Series X, the kids have theirs. They're upstairs playing the Series X. Downstairs is where the flagship TV is, the QN90A, QN90B, 2022, with the new with the new Game Hub, in there. And maybe you're calling them down for dinner, but they're in the middle of the game. They can pause it, save it, and they'll be like, hey, come down, finish your game downstairs on the TV. You can stream it. When food is ready, we can eat it in the kitchen, right? The story of how you can have continuous gaming on the same subscription with the game save under the same account with Game Pass Ultimate. And you can be in the living room, you can play with your kids, multiple controllers that can connect directly to the TV, and also have that seamless transition. And although the quality might not look as good as when you're playing it natively, the most important thing in this situation that makes it a win is if the response feels no different to playing it natively, that's what makes sense in terms of bridging that gap, right? And for those people that are using a smart monitor MA for business and work, which is very, very, very beneficial for that as it runs ties in with the smart TV features and whatnot, you can enjoy a bit of gaming on the downtime in between without having to worry about making sure that a console's plugged to it as well. Just a little bit of downtime. 4K TV, 4K smart monitor, 32 inches, large screen real estate for a monitor. It can be it's a very, very compelling feature to have, right? I know some people that will use a smart monitor for the kids in their room for learning and stuff, but they can use it for a bit of downtime when it comes to gaming. That's the story around it. It is not meant to replace dedicated hardware-based console gaming. But what it is meant to do, in my personal opinion, is be a good stopgap if you have the right service and subscriptions for you to allow you to play the latest game day one out of the box without the need of having to download it, install big updates and all of that jargon and stuff, right? Everything is ready and instant, ready to go. All right. And that's something that we demonstrated that worked really, really well. That when I saw, you got the benefit of the instantaneous load times of the current gen consoles, like the Series X and Series S, but without the wait times. Yes, it is only up to 1080p 60 frames a second. You don't get the high resolution, which I hope they build up to that point. But that, to me, is the main benefit of what you're getting with the game stream. Now, again, We only got to test Xbox cloud gaming this time. Well, I can't speak for GeForce now. I know NVIDIA have got, higher tier packages for different stuff that can do 4K that emulate, their RTX 3080 graphics and stuff like that, and Google Stadia and whatnot. But it's a very, very interesting place to be when it comes to the experience that I had with cloud gaming. And this is the story that I'm building towards justifying it. Now, will that be enough of an incentive to incentivize you to buy a Samsung TV instead of buying the other competition? I think provisionally, yes. I think this is good. And I think this is going to force companies like Sony to consider having a PlayStation app to do the same that what's been done. Competition really makes a difference. And I think that's going to wake up other TV manufacturers to get on board with it as well, right? This is Samsung really showing the power of their collaborative nature, that this is something that they've wanted to do for a long time for so many things, an open ecosystem, right? And this is, seeing this in action, I'm really liking it. I'm really liking it. So far, here are a few disclaimers. Only available on 2022 smart TVs and smart monitors from Samsung. So I think that is really down to the fact that they really worked with the new AI processor in the 2022 TVs and smart monitors that really help to reduce latency and have a smoother, clearer image when it's actually working at 1080p 60 frames a second up to based on a service. It means that previous 2021 models will most likely not benefit from it. Now, I did ask the question. They didn't entirely say that it wasn't going to be the case, right? But right now, they are adamant on it being on 2022 monitors and also the TVs mainly. But this is one area that it's not on there that is quite unfortunate. Now, the Galaxy Freestyle. Wow. It's not the Galaxy. I'm so used to just dubbing Galaxy for everything, right? The Freestyle Smart Projector does not have the gaming hub. And it is a bit of a missed opportunity. And I want to say a bit. I think as early as development as this was, I think there's a limitation. I think there's a limitation based on processing that didn't enable the Freestyle to have the gaming hub. And overall, rather than just wrapping up topic one and looking at this, I really do think the second generation one needs to have this feature, because as much as we've not been able to try the Freestyle ourselves, which is unfortunate, we got hands-on with it. We went to hands-on a first look, well, more of a first look, hands-on, when we went to Vegas in regards to it. That is a different, unique form of portable gaming that could really, really, really benefit having such a big, large 100-inch projector in that cylinder dome, right? But it's not available on the Freestyle. And it is a bit of a missed opportunity. I just say a bit. It's a bit of a missed opportunity. I don't think it's a full-on missed opportunity, but it is a bit of a missed opportunity. But overall, my overall consensus and my overall thoughts of Samsung's gaming hub, right, is this is a good step in the right direction for stopgap gaming, complementary gaming with a high ceiling of good instantaneous response in best case scenarios, alongside your dedicated console gaming. Fills in the gaps, because to me, the benefit of it is it fills in the gaps, especially in the places in the household that you cannot put a console there. You can use this to fill the gap. The convenience of the connectivity really does make a difference. I think what's going to be very good to see is how they sell it to customers as well, with maybe controller bundles, with maybe subscription bundles, and also with setup guide advising for the best case scenario, really showcasing that through a wired connection or positional Wi-Fi connections that give you the best response. But yeah, Samsung's gaming hub for their 2022 smart TVs and smart monitors are basically official. We got hands-on with it. Good first impressions with our concerns that we've put out there with disclaimers. Whenever or if ever the time comes for us to showcase it and demonstrate it in our environment, we'll try our best to do that. But for now, this is pretty much what we have, and we highly recommend that you go and watch that as well. But of course, that is topic 1 wrapped up. And if you've not been here before, you know what happens next. We go for a quick interlude, quick water break, and then we'll be back. Topic number 2, discussing the Galaxy Watch 5 and Watch 5 Pro. Ooh, the official, in quotes, renders, and what that basically means in terms of what we discussed before, what it means now, and what we should be seeing in person. But yeah, don't go too far. We'll be right back. And we are back. I'm rehydrated. The throat is clear again. And we're going to be on to topic number 2. And it feels like we are getting closer to the time. Galaxy Watch 5 and Watch 5 Pro. We've discussed it numerous amount of times on the podcast, and I've almost kind of lost count. But, we're drawing closer to it. And again, like we said, we count the calendar year. We should be expecting the Fold and the Flip and the Galaxy Watch 5 series no later than the second week of August in terms of announcement, and probably availability with pre-orders come the end of August. So, just have that in consideration and whatnot. But it looks like 3D renders revealing the upcoming watches have pretty much been put out in their full glory. So we're going to have a look at it and really see. And it looks like, if this is true, I think it's 91 Mobiles and EvLeaks that put this out there. They have killed the rotating digital crown. Okay, so this is something that's going to be obviously introduced alongside maybe new buds as well, but it's going to be introduced alongside the Flip and the Fold as we were expecting. And, the Buds Pro, obviously the Galaxy Watch 5 and the Watch 5 Pro. Wow. Obviously the 3D renders show the Watch 5 and the Watch 5 Pro, and the Watch 5 is meant to follow off the Watch 5. The Watch 5 is meant to follow off the Watch 4, obviously Pro is meant to follow off the Classic. This is just very interesting. It's very, very interesting to see what we're seeing right now. Now down here is what we're seeing in terms of the standard Watch 5. As expected, looks very familiar to what we saw with the Watch 4. Not much here. But this is pretty much the Pro model. The Pro model looks beefier, looks slightly thicker, and you do have slightly thicker concaved in bezels as well. But the rotating bezel was finished and it's gone. And if this is really true, which we'll put disclaimers out there and just say, look, just take it with a very, very large grain of salt, because again, by coming to that time, we don't know, right? Things could be very different, and things are always different. Renders are not the be all and end all, and it's gone. Honestly, I discussed this before, and I'm gonna put it out there that I'm not much of a watch person, period. In terms of my swag, my drip, my clothing and whatnot. I'm not really a very fashion-centric person. I've never really been. I've been about sports and tech and motors, right? I've never really been a fashion person. So watches naturally don't appeal to me. Even when I dress up really, really nice on an occasion, I don't think to put a watch on. You're either a watch person or you're not, right? But given my thoughts on this, the rotating bezel, the rotating digital crown is a signature of the Galaxy Watch. It's the standout in terms of the look of a traditional timepiece, right? And also navigational purposes, because it helps you keep your finger off that tiny circular screen a lot. The smartwatches are not big in terms of the screen. The more your fingers on it, the more you're covering up and smudging stuff, right? The rotating bezel really helped with that. It's gone. And I get it for the Watch 4 Classic, right? That differentiation. So the standard Watch 4 compared to the Watch 4 Classic. But not having it at all, boy. Only thing I can really put it down to is the fact that maybe it gives more space for a bigger battery. Maybe it does. Maybe it gives more space for a bigger battery. But best believe this has to be one of the best features to come to a smartwatch. If it's the battery, it has to be. Because the rumored expense of this Galaxy Watch 5 Pro, boy, like it costing mid-range smartphone money to buy that watch. Best believe, that battery life needs to be stellar. Not just in terms of size, but optimization. Now, we are expecting in terms of what's in there, it be based on, whereas like what they did with the partnership, we should be expecting the same 5nm processor that was actually in there with the system on a chip. But this is looking at it, it does look nice. I'm not saying it doesn't look nice. It does look nice. I just don't know if this is going to be enough to give them the competitive edge to really take things further. I might be wrong because obviously they had their partnership with Amazing Kitsune, different other stuff, right? But looking at it, it does look good. Not saying it doesn't, even for a non-watch person like myself, right? It does look good. But I just question why such a staple hardware feature that works so well with software, that identified with how watches looked to a certain extent and behaved, you take that away. And if it's really to sacrifice for having a much bigger battery capacity, boy, I really, really damn well hope so that pays off and that works really well. Again, let me be positive and be optimistic because it does look good. It does look good. Unless they're going to be bundling it, I don't know if the price would justify the means. And I hope if the price doesn't at least fully justify the means, the battery life, as in 2 to 3 days type of battery life, in terms of not just capacity, but optimization, mixed with the looks that we're getting right now, then maybe I can, work with it a little bit more, right? But all in due time, I guess. Again, take these renders for a grain of salt, a good amount of grain of salt. But these are the apparent full 3D renders of what we've got coming with the Galaxy Watch 5 and the Watch 5 Pro. Hey, we're not that far. We are not that far. We are probably a good 4 or 5 weeks. We are not that far. We're not that far. So watch out and just consider that. But yeah, this is just a quick fire run because we've just discussed so much when it comes to the Galaxy Watch 5 and the Watch 5 Pro. Hey, it's just me, right? Only so much of myself that I can talk to and discuss when it comes to this, right? But just watch out for this and let's see. We are in the end game. We're getting close to Unpacked. When August hits into the second week, all of this is just going to be boom. And SamMobile, you've seen our previous videos from last year all throughout. We are at all of these first look hands-on events. And when we get the products in the house, best believe we're putting them through their paces as well. So we're excited to see that. But yeah, that is topic 2 out of the way, all done with the alleged renders, 3D renders of the upcoming Galaxy Watch 5, Watch 5 Pro. Final stretch into topic 3, and we're going to be talking about this guy here. The Note device that is not the Note device that has become the best-selling Note device that will continue to be rebirthed into this particular S Ultra device. Yeah, a bit of a tongue twister there, but don't go too far. We're going to be discussing all and the future of what the S Ultra series means for Galaxy smartphones going forward. And we are back for the final one. Topic number 3, let's talk Galaxy S22 Ultra and Galaxy S Ultra. TMRO has basically gone on record and said the Galaxy Note will be reborn year after year in the form of the Galaxy S Ultra. Let's have a look at this, because this threw me off right? And I'm going to discuss this because I have an opinion about just the state of affairs with the Galaxy S22 Ultra, with my consistent long-term reviews that I've done with them and so many other different stuff that I discussed, right? Now, the head of Samsung Mobile Division has no plans to bring back the Galaxy Note series, but will keep the Note spirit alive through new Galaxy S Ultra models every year, right? And this is what was said. Starting this year, Galaxy Note will appear in the form of the S Ultra every year. This is from TMRO claimed, right? Okay, right? The S Pen legacy continues one way or another. And this is an interesting one, because what we've seen from this is that the Galaxy S22 Ultra is selling very well. I think 11 million units and above, and it's the highest Note form smartphone device selling in recent years. And doing this, that means we automatically know, forget the leaks, it's been put on record, we automatically know that from 2023, next year, for the Galaxy S23 Ultra, it will have the inbuilt, famous S Pen that we've come to know and love. Whatever improvements that come with it, refinements, new features, whatnot, and what forth. But the spirit of the Note is here. And this is what I said in my review. There is nothing S-series about this device. This is effectively them admitting that this is the Note 22 Ultra 6 months early, if it was meant to be announced in August, like what we were used to for all those years. You know, within that August to November range. Back in the day, it used to be in November with the Note 4 and the Note 3, right? This confirms it. And I said this just felt like the imposter device in the lineup. And that is exactly what's being confirmed. From a business standpoint, you know what? Samsung were right. They've benefited from this, and the sales figures that they're getting from this to be one of the highest selling Note devices in recent years, right? Proves that killing it for August, leaving August for foldables and wearables was the right business choice. The numbers don't lie, right? It's selling really well. Really, really happy to see it. It's a great device. Away from my personal opinion on me preferring the Note 21, the S21 Ultra more in terms of the design, the philosophy and identity of the product, where I wish they carried a lot more of the S21 Ultra's identity into here and the fit and feel of it, right? It doesn't take away from the fact that this is the right decision. I just want the S23 Ultra to kind of harken back to S21 Ultra a bit, in a way, in my personal opinion. Merge that together, put that into fruition, and still bring elements of what makes an S-series flagship phone, right? The identity of it. Yes, it is a Note-spirited device. Heck, it's a Note device, people. It really is. We've touched on it enough, and we've agreed on it. But from a business standpoint, I love what they've done. I love the upfrontness about this as well from TMRO. If this is really the case, right? If it's not verbatim and it's not taken out of context. If it is upfront, I love that about it. I love owning it. I love the fact that, hey, we're not bringing back the Note, but the spirit of the Note lives. So it settles the expectations. It kills the hearsay of, are we this, are we that, are we not? And it gives room for the progressive nature of what we are expecting the development of the S Pen series and the embedded S Pen into the fold. I need that. And I can't wait for that, right? Got a fold through right there. So this is good to hear. But I just want this device to suffer less from imposter syndrome. And if it is going to hijack the slot of the S Ultra, I still want to see some form of S element in at least the design identity in here, while having the Note spirit of the embedded S Pen and the look and the shape of it. But yeah, that is pretty much your weekly SamMobile podcast all done and wrapped up. Hopefully I did a good Ben Solo show and episode for you, as I try my best to do. We'll try and get another guest back in. Guests always nice to have and co-hosts always nice to have, because we bounce off each other. We learn off each other and different stuff, right? But put myself out there, done another solo episode for episode 14, where we pretty much discussed all the topics from before with the Gaming Hub, the alleged renders of the Galaxy Watch 5 and Watch 5 Pro, and the spirit of the note will be living through the S Ultra series going forward. Yep, that is episode 14 wrapped up. Hope you all enjoyed it. And as we always like to say, hope you're all safe during this time. We'll catch you in the next one. Peace.